A surveillance video of Oklahoma running back Joe Mixon punching a female student in 2014, breaking 4 bones in her face, was released Friday after an Oklahoma Supreme Court order. We warn you that this video is disturbing. The woman, Amelia Molitor, has filed a suit against Mixon. At the time of the incident, Mixon was charged with a misdemeanor and was suspended by Oklahoma for the 2014 season. He received a 1-year deferred sentence from the court. Now, in a statement, the university said it was aware of the video and told Mixon that violence against women would not be tolerated. Stephen A., your reaction?
It's no excuse, obviously. He has to pay the price. And I know that he was suspended for the year. I get that. But you're talking about a guy that's aspiring to come to the NFL. And regardless of what anyone wants to say, how anyone wants to interpret it, you can't have something like that happen. You can't have something like that that's tolerated. Not to mention the fact that, again, in the aftermath of the whole Ray Rice situation, regardless of how wrong people want to say this is in terms of Ray Rice compared to a Greg Hardy or anybody else, visual matters. Video matters. You have 2 eyes for a reason. What you see is far more impactful than what you read in situations like this, no matter how we want to slice it. And so when we look at it from that perspective, and then we think about the times that we're in, and we think about the NFL and the attention to this issue that people have accused the NFL of essential negligence at times in the past and what have you, even though they've clearly made strident just efforts put forth by them to address these issues. To have this guy coming into the league with this video out is something that a lot of NFL teams are going to be highly reluctant to touch, because they're going to look at it and they're going to say, they're not going to just sit up there and say, Max, it's the past. They're going to sit up there and say that video is out. That video is something that's going to be re-aired in our local market, whoever drafts this guy. And that's going to resonate. It's going to have a detrimental impact.
Really quickly on that thought, because I think it's very sad. With Greg Hardy, we didn't have quite the same outrage as Ray Rice, of course, because of the visual. And I look at something like this. We had a guy like Tyreek Hill. It didn't hurt him. He's balling right now for the Kansas City Chiefs. And he choked and punched his pregnant girlfriend in the stomach and in the head. So you could argue that's more egregious because you're hurting 2 lives.
No question.
So that didn't affect him. Again, why? Because potentially there's no visual.
This is the way our brains are wired. You know, we can read statistics about what's happening in Aleppo or wherever around the world, and you hear about the casualties, but that's abstract. It's just the way our brains are wired, you know, so that we can deal with stuff right in front of us. There's an evolutionary advantage, I guess, to it. And when they're abstract numbers, that's one thing. So there's been commentary in recent days about this situation. Why should the video make a difference? We already know the facts. And as a statement of fact, and in terms of due process, that is true. Even in terms of what our outrage should be in a kind of technical sense, it's true. But there's something different about seeing a 217-pound running back hauling off and cold clocking this young woman as though he's in a bar fight with another football player. That just affects you differently. We can't help it. It's the way we are. And what this really boils down to now is a year suspension enough? Because there will be a residual price to pay going forward in terms of his reputation, even in terms of his draft status, everything like that. But there is a larger question, is a year enough?
It's something important that needs to be said here. There are going to be people out there who saw that video, and they're going to sit up there and they're going to say, she hit him first. I'm saying it doesn't matter. There's nothing that justifies what we saw in that video. And
just leaving her like that.
And just leaving her, that's right. Okay, but let's also make sure we point this out. Just what Max said. We want to act like the visual doesn't matter. The visual matters. I can sit up there and I can know that you're wrong. I can want you arrested. I can want you to suffer. But if I'm reading an article about what Mixon did, it is entirely more impactful when I see it it's like
I totally understand the visual piece. I totally get it.
And it shouldn't be
we're
that way,
visual
but it is.
humans. I totally get it. But we have to get to the point that we don't need the visual. Because if it's, I know how much you guys care about your significant others, your daughters. If you don't have a video, but you hear that she's getting punched in the face or punched in the stomach, especially those kind of things should be enough.
Right.
We need to get to the point where we don't have to have video, where there's the same vitriol when we're reading about it.
Right. We have to get to that point. But here's the flip side to it. We're watching radio, or we're listening to a game on radio. We're watching it on television. What do you prefer if you have the choice? Because seeing something and hearing it at the same time is more impactful. You have daughters, so I'm a daddy too. Here's the deal. I can sit up there and I hear it. I don't need to see anything else. I know what I'm going to do. But I will acknowledge that even though I'm going to do something, if my daughter came home and I visually saw,
needed her jaw wired.
You see what I'm saying? I can hear about it, and that's all I need. But there's no doubt that it's going to raise to another level once you see it. It's just you can't help it. It's sad that it is that way, but you can't help it.
Even though, like, of course, we're very invested in due process and not just having an outrage competition when something like this happens, and yet at a certain point, someone will have to be made an example of. And it's not, it's like you're speeding on the highway and you get pulled over, and it's like, but everyone else was too. Someone's getting pulled over and it happened to be you. One of these, and not to make a moral equivalency, but one of these incidents is going to have to be used to demonstrate a zero tolerance policy on domestic violence or violence toward women, especially when this is not something that affects an economic unit of a family. We've talked about this, where he's the primary breadwinner in the house. If women are dissuaded from reporting on men in these situations because he loses his job and now they have no source of income, that's not good either. But that's not this. They're not a couple, and he's not the breadwinner, and this is not an economic relationship. This is assault. So maybe this is a good, or would have been a good time to make an example of someone.
Of course, we have to get to the point where no video is needed, and we have the same reaction.
I think you're right. I just don't know if we'll ever get to the point where the absence of video will be the same.
People can't get off because there's no cameras there.
Oh no, nobody should get off. Period. Nobody should get off. Period.
But that's where we need to get. Mixon apologized last month and said racial slurs were a holdout in which he initiated the incident. Attorneys for the victim deny those claims. In the 11 games for the Sooners this season, Mixon has rushed for a team-leading 1,183 yards, 8 touchdowns. Oklahoma plays Auburn in the All-State Sugar Bowl. That's January 2nd.
By the way, Mixon, racial slurs, this don't cut it in this particular situation, bro. No. Nobody want to hear that. Nobody want to hear that. Has nothing to do with this. Nothing.
The slurs aren't okay either, but I appreciate you saying that, Stephen A. Coming up next.
Goff takes a snap, drops straight back, pressure, pocket collapses, ball's loose, and the loose ball is recovered by the Saints.
Our front office is like a high school,
Someone from upper management called me and said that I make the players feel uncomfortable about some of the stuff I said on the radio and about they don't want me on the sidelines.
You can't be critical and then come back and and ask for this and ask for that.
I told them on the phone I will never attend another game or Ram function as long as you're head coach, and I stand by that.
Goff 3 steps, looks to the ring, it's intercepted. Deion Jones keeps his feet, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown for Debo.
Some breaking news out of Los Angeles. The Rams have officially parted ways with head coach Jeff Fisher.
This is solely a performance-related issue.
Well, this is an understatement. It's been a rough year for the Rams in their return to Los Angeles. They've lost 9 of their last 10 games and fired head coach Jeff Fisher. Here to talk all about it is a future Hall of Famer here, and Eric Dickerson. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you very much. Not future, Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer. Excuse me.
That's okay.
You're there.
Present
You're there.
Present Hall of Fame.
What threw me off there? I had future of football that I wanted to ask you about in LA. So I want to focus on that. So after losing to the Seahawks, Tavon Austin talked about how difficult it is to play in LA. We know how difficult it is to play in the NFL, period. But the city of Los Angeles, the hype, the hoopla, the expectations.
Well, when the Rams came to LA, I kept telling everyone that this team has to win here. This is a city that's all about winners. It's glitz, it's glamour, it's Hollywood. You can't come here going 4-12, 6-10. That's not going to work in LA. I mean, that may work someplace else. And I kept saying it over and over, they've got to win. Or if they don't win, they have to have an exciting product. And they've really done neither one.
Well, first of all, I'd like to take a moment to applaud you because I think you deserve to be applauded. The reason why is because that phone call that you got from Jeff Fisher one day clearly upset him, and all you were doing was telling the truth and bringing attention that desperately needed to have attention brought to it, which was the Los Angeles Rams stink because their record stinks because their head coach just wasn't very damn good anymore and he had too much of an opportunity. I want you to take us back to that phone call that you received from Jeff Fisher and what that was like for you.
Well, first of all, I was invited out to the groundbreaking ceremony. That's when I come out. I said, sure, I'll come out. But I'd heard the grumbling already. So when I got there, I could tell it was kind of a little tension between some of the Rams staff and myself, but no big deal. So after I got ready to leave, I asked the guy, I said, hey, what about those passes I asked you for my friend? But now keep in mind, I didn't really need them. I just wanted to see, was it true?
Right.
You know? So they said, well, Eric, I'm not sure. You know, we have the media department, you know, they said some of the stuff you said about the team. I said, huh? I said, well, am I lying? Well, no, you're not lying, but you know, I said, well, he said, I tell you what, someone's gonna call you. Jeff Fisher or Les Snead will call you. I said, okay. I said, I welcome the call, no problem. So I left, I got home, I'm talking to my best friend, Charles Drayton, on the phone. And he said, Dick, you lying, they gonna call you? I said, you're supposed to call me. And I'm talking to him for about 20 minutes, all of a sudden I see a 314 area code. I said, Drayton, let me call you back. He said, man, I wish I was on this call. Yeah. So I answered, so I said, hello. Hey, Eric, this is Jeff Fisher. I said, how you doing, Jeff? He said, I'm good. He said, look, I'm gonna get right at this. He says, you know, I don't really have time for this, but I'm just gonna say this, you know, you're not gonna be talking about my football team, my coaches, and then expecting things from the team. As long as I'm head coach, we're not doing anything for you, we're not supporting anything you do, and I'm just letting you know that right now. As long as I'm head coach, that's not gonna happen. You make my team uncomfortable, you make the players uncomfortable, and you make the coaches uncomfortable when you come on the sideline. So that's just not gonna happen. So I just wanna let you know, and blah, blah, blah. He goes on. I didn't say one word, I just listened. So when he finished, I said, okay. And I think he thought he was gonna hang up.
Yeah.
I said, okay, Jeff. He said, okay, thanks. I said, no. I said, it's my turn. He said, okay. I said, Jeff, let me explain something to you. First of all, I'm a grown-ass man. I said, I don't need nothing from the Rams. I said, you think I've been sitting around there waiting for the Rams to come back? I said, no, I have not been. I said, if I want something, I'll pay for it. I said, if y'all think I owe you something, send me a bill. I'll gladly pay for it. I said, Jeff, I said that my thing is that I want my football team to win. I said, you could get fired, Les Snead could leave, Kevin Dimmoff could leave, but I'll still be Eric Dixon of the Los Angeles Rams. I say, I want my football team to win. I support the players. I'm a player first, always. Then all of a sudden it changes. Well, Eric, we want you to come over, man. That's not what we want, blah, blah, blah. You know, we had Britney Spears come over last week, and I'm like, now, I don't care nothing about no Britney. I'm not no offense against Britney Spears, but I'm talking about
She's
football.
not in the Hall of Fame playing for the Rams.
Isn't it true, before I let you go back, isn't it true that Jeff Fisher initially denied that he had spoken to you?
You know what? I don't know, because I didn't. One thing is, this had happened about 2 weeks prior. I didn't say anything at first. I didn't say anything about it. So, you know, on my show on 570, they kept teasing me about, man, you're on the Rams hit list. You know, you're the new #1 enemy of the Rams. And I just laughed. And so they said it again the following week. And I said, man, I'm going to say this. I said, I got a call from someone in upper management. And they were like, huh? I said, yeah. And I said, well, I kind of said what they told me. They were shocked. And so I never said it was Jeff Fisher. And I'll say this much here. If Jeff Fisher said he never made the call, I'd have said he never made the call. I mean, that's just how I felt. I wanted to keep this really in-house, but I just got sick of hearing how I'm bad-mouthing my football team. I'm just telling the truth, what everyone else saw. I said it from week 2. I said the offense looks like a high school offense. I said the defense is doing all the work. And if I'm a defensive squad, I'm like, look, man, golly, help us out a little bit. Do something different. And that was it.
To paraphrase Wally Shawn from The Princess Bride,
I like
two major mistakes made throughout history. One, never get involved in a land war in Asia. And second, and only slightly behind that, is if the Los Angeles Rams are returning to LA for the first time in almost a half century, and your teams have stunk on ice for years, and you're the head coach of the Rams, maybe don't pick a fight with the greatest player in the history of the franchise. That's insanity. Particularly when, and Eric, you could talk to this, I just spent 5.5 years in LA. Let me tell you the difference between the New York market and the LA market when it comes to sports. And this goes to the difference between LA and even Philly or Boston or a place like that, the cold weather, kind of bitter, northeast cities that really are crazy about sports. If you stink in New York, they'll still pay attention to you. They'll just be cursing you out all day. There is pressure in New York City to win now. In LA, I wouldn't say it's pressure. I would say you have to deal with distractions. And if you don't handle those distractions, they're not going to kill you. They will forget about you.
Right.
They forgot about you. They'll go outside. The weather's nice. Anyway, I guess it's not a question. It's more of a statement. But I think I'm more outraged about what happened to you than you are.
Look, my thing is, and I said this to Jeff Fisher, I just want my team to win. I mean, I think the Los Angeles Rams fans deserve better. I mean, they came from St. Louis. The St. Louis fans deserve better. And to come to L.A. and put this kind of product on the field, it's not fair to the fans. I mean, I saw Coach Pete Carroll. It was, 4 weeks ago. He was leaving the field with his players. They made a big stand on the goal line. And he was like a kid, like excited. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I say, that's the kind of coach we need. We need something like that. I said, that's what we're missing. As a player, that's what you want.
With that being said, who would you like to see as the next head coach for the Los Angeles Rams?
Man, it's a wide variety of guys. I mean, Jim Harbaugh would be a choice, but like I said, I'm not writing that check. That's Stan Kroenke. John Gruden would be a choice for sure. I think he could come in. I like guys who have been head coaches before, but say that not one that's not been a head coach. I mean, I think Kyle Shanahan would be a possibility. I mean, he's an offensive coordinator. It's a lot of guys out there, but you got to have a coach that fits that team, the personality, the organization. I mean, and I guess I'll say it starts at the top. I mean, the top has to be cleaned up before you can get a coach. I mean, that has to be.
Now, Les Snead, too? I mean, he's the one who, look at these draft picks that aren't hit.
Look at our draft picks. I mean, it's almost like this. It's almost like, okay, the bullseye's over here, and we're drafting over here. Like, I'm like, who's picking these guys? I mean.
And how much of that is development? Like, Mark Schlereth talks about that. People confuse drafting with development, not always the same thing. How much of that is missing in the draft? That's Snead. How much of that is lack of development, which would be under Fisher?
Well, it's a lot of it. I think, he's a defensive-minded coach. And our defense is good. I mean, but the defense is not going to last forever. They can't keep going at this rate. You have to have some offense, and that's what we're missing. We're missing on so many offensive players. They'll draft a guy in the 4th round and get it right. We'll draft a guy in the 1st round, 2 of them, and get it way wrong. Like, how are these guys playing? And I think that's where the disconnect is.
The bright side is you can only go up from here. But speaking of offense, you are the only first year to account for 1,800 rushing yards in your first NFL season. Ezekiel Elliott, he's on pace potentially to do something like that. We asked Twitter, should he win MVP? 51% said no. Your thoughts?
As I look at the MVP race, and I think I know you're not a Cowboy fan, neither am I.
That's right.
I'm a Steelers fan, like you.
Here we go.
Growing up
Smart man.
Yeah.
Smart man.
But I'll say this much here. When I look at that football team, I've been saying it for a while, co-MVPs, Zeke and Dak, they go great together. I mean, I think one couldn't exist without the other. I mean, I believe that. So for me, I'd have to go co. I can't give it to Zeke and I can't give it to Dak solely.
I ain't mad at you. I'm just hoping that Jerry Jones messes it all up. I put Romo up in there. That'll make my day. I see it coming.
Eric, thank you so much for traveling all the way to be here with us, to have a Hall of Famer here in the house. We appreciate you and your honesty.
Man.
And don't think you're going to get anything from First Take.
Not even
Can I get something? Can I get a mug?